it's Eva Cartman, and you're listening to the Dream Big Podcast Show, the place to go to learn, laugh, and grow. Today we welcome Sasha DiGiulian, and we discuss her journey to become a champion climber, the mindset of a champion, her travels around the world, and so much more. This is episode 136, Big Dreamers. You ready? It's time to dream big.
Welcome to the Dream Big Podcast Show. We're inspiring you to shoot for the moon, take aim and go. We bring to you amazing guests who truly love what they do. Every day they're living their dreams, and so can you. Dream big, take action to reach your goals. Are you pumped yet? It's showtime, let's rock and roll.
Hi, Big Dreamers. Before I introduce Sasha DiGiulian, I wanted to let you know that you can now get my free Confidence Secrets course, which is over 1 hour of me teaching you about how to develop your superpower of self-belief. This Confidence Secrets course is going to be part of the Dream Big Academy that we launch later this year. But for a limited time, we are offering access to this content for free at dreambigpodcast.com/beta. If you're a younger Big Dreamer listening to this, please ask your parents to help you get it. Again, it's completely free for a limited time only, so please take advantage and get the course while you still can at dreambigpodcast.com/beta. Okay, now let's turn our attention to this week's amazing guest, Sasha DiGiulian. Sasha DiGiulian first began climbing at 6 years old in 1998. She's won the World Championships for female overall and placed silver in the Bouldering World Championships, as well as bronze in the Duel. Sasha has been the undefeated panAmerican champion in 2004 to the present, and she is a 3-time U.S. national champion. I really enjoyed our discussion on the mindset it takes to ascend these incredible mountains and was really inspired by her work ethic and dedication to her passion. As always, we have show notes at dreambigpodcast.com/136, where we will include links to Sasha's website and everything we discussed in the interview. Without further ado, here's my interview with Sasha. Let's roll the tape. Hi, Sasha.
Hi, Ava. So great to finally touch base with you. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well.
I'm so thrilled that you're a guest on the podcast because we watched a bunch of your videos to prepare for the interview, and I have just so many questions.
Well, thank you for watching the videos. Do you climb at all?
Yeah, normally I do. I go to carnivals, climb, and there's a rock wall actually near my house, and sometimes I go there when my friend's having a birthday party yeah.
You know, that's funny you say that. I started climbing, actually, when my brother had a birthday party at a local climbing. So, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So, let's start at the beginning. Where did you grow up? And I know that you said that you kind of started at your brother's birthday party, but how did you first discover your love for rock climbing?
That's a great question. Yeah, I grew up in Alexandria, Virginia, which is just outside of Washington, D.C., and it was 1998. So I was 6 years old, and my brother had a birthday party at a local climbing gym. I was really invested in lots of different sports, mainly figure skating, and at the time, I had never really known much about climbing at all. After the birthday party, I started going to the climbing gym about twice a week. So on Wednesdays and Saturdays for about a year. And then one Saturday morning, I walked into the gym and there was a youth regional championship happening, which is a climbing competition for kids from 11 and under up until 19 years old. And I entered into the competition and I won my category, which was 11 and under at the time. And that was really my first competition and my first time recognizing climbing as beyond just a hobby. It was understanding that there was a full sport to what I had just really fallen in love with back in the birthday party environment. So really I took it from there. I went from climbing about 2 times a week to gradually climbing more often, getting acquainted with a really good coach that became my coach up until I was about 14 or 15 years old. And I competed in the youth series of competitions up until kind of aged out. But at 16, I was eligible to really compete on the World Cup stage for adult and also compete at adult open nationals. So that was, that was the beginning.
Wow. Whenever I go to the carnival, like any carnival near my house or like even gym and they have a rock wall, like that's the first activity that I want to do. But I'm curious, did you realize like at age 16 that you could really take it and make it your profession and like actually make it your job?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I actually had my first sponsor at age 12, and sponsorship is how professional climbers make a living. It's through endorsement deals with a variety of different companies that you represent as an athlete ambassador for that brand. At the beginning stages, when I was 12, it was very rudimentary contracts in the way that I was getting free product or, pretty minimal arrangements. And that was fine. I mean, like I wasn't even aware that you could make a profession out of climbing. But gradually, as I started signing new endorsement deals and kind of parallel growing my career in breadth and competition climbing to start with, I think as my success kind of continued to grow, I started becoming more recognized by bigger brands and getting more lucrative contracts. And by about 17 years old, I was making a living off of the companies that I was working with. And that was kind of just like this ripple effect of loving what I was doing and staying motivated and also learning what it meant to be a professional athlete.
Wow, I just love hearing stories like yours because I've talked to professional dog trainers, deep sea divers, dinosaur hunters, and now rock climbers. So this podcast really proves that there are big dreamers out there just like you, and they're living their dream and just having fun. And I know that rock climbing got a ton of press last year with the Free Solo documentary, which is an amazing accomplishment for Alex Honnold. So I imagine that rock climbing is a sport that mostly men do, but can you share what it's like to be a female in the sport? And you must be very proud paving the way for other young female rock climbers.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think that every generation can look back at the people who laid the foundation before them. And, you have to say thank you and recognize what other women and men have done to make your career possible. Free Solo was an amazing accomplishment by Alex Honnold. I would say that as climbing grows in popularity, the sport becomes more even in a way, at least at the gym scene, with men to women. There is definitely a larger saturation of men in the sport. And a lot of that has to do with it's traditionally just a male-dominated sport. I think that what's interesting is every year climbing is growing at a really rapid rate, and more companies want to be involved. There's also more access, more gyms that are becoming available. There's now probably a pretty substantial rock climbing gym in every global city around the world. And I would say that through my career, I look up to women in the past like Lynn Hill, Angela Eider, Robin Ebersfield, but I also want to be, I want young girls to be able to see what I've done and be like, well, she did it, so can I. And if in any way I can inspire at least one girl to see potential beyond what she can really think is possible, then I'm really happy about that.
For all our young girl big dreamers out there, I think really Sasha proves that your passion is not linked to your gender. And even if you love rock climbing, hockey, martial arts, you can follow your big dreams and do amazing things, just like Sasha said. And if you love rock climbing, follow Sasha.
Yeah, no, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. Is if you're passionate about it and if it's what you love to do, then success just comes naturally. And I think that the main thing that I want my career to disseminate to other people is the fact that I didn't know that I was in the path of creating a profession when I was just following what I love to do. And all of us have a unique passion and a drive. And I think that pursuing that and really seeing it as something worth investing your time in is really important.
So true. Just for another quick question, we saw that towards the end of last year, you were training with a fractured leg. So you literally had a cast on, but you were working out in a gym climbing a rock wall. So can you share how you got injured and how were you able to train with the injury?
Yeah, in fact, I actually developed the injury in September, and I was training for the New York City Marathon, and I didn't have too much of a running base. I went on an 18-mile run, and I developed a stress fracture, but I was in the midst of traveling throughout Europe and then the Middle East for about 2 months, and I was climbing outside and hiking with heavy pack consistently, and so that just kind of made the stress fracture in my fibula that much worse. By the time I got to Germany, which about 2 months after this run, I had really, really sharp pain in my leg every time I stood on it. And I got an MRI, which I should have done sooner. And I found out that I had completely fractured the fibula. So I had an air boot for about 2 months. But what's interesting about injuries is sometimes, injuries can be a professional athlete's worst nightmare, but I really believe that you can come back stronger from an injury as long as you take into account adaptive training and make whatever you have functioning work for you and switch your exercises. I started swimming for my cardio, where I put a pull buoy in between my legs so I wouldn't need a kick. And that really could tackle the cardio component of my training versus running per se. And then I would just put on the boot and climb one-legged. I could focus on getting my arms stronger, balance on my left leg, which was the non-injured leg, and just working, thankfully I have a team with me who can really advise and create programs and workouts that are specific to me and my needs. And I think stay motivated and keep on working with what you have.
So speaking of challenges, was that your most challenging climb, or do you have like a really hard climb? And if you do, how did it feel when you completed it, and why do you think you pushed yourself so hard?
Honestly, I can't look at my career and say that was the hardest climb I've ever done, or that was the climb that made me the most happy, because whatever my next goal is and whatever the most recent accomplishment is kind of what I can look at as that motivation for the next project. But I definitely have had successes outdoors that I look at and I feel really proud of. I think that this last summer was one of them. I did the first female ascent of 3 significant mountains in the Canadian Rockies. And I think that, what really motivates me the most is looking at my goals moving forward and thinking, this is what I'm training for. And when I arrive at this location, I want to be as prepared as possible. So that's really, I guess, my driving force.
That's so cool that you kind of focus as everything as not really challenging, but you think of your next step harder and you keep on making it harder and harder for yourself. And you just don't focus on the challenging parts. You just focus on, your goal, your ending goal.
Totally.
I know that one issue you have raised before is like the serious issue of bullying, and particular like cyberbullying. So since you have a large following on social media and have dealt with people like writing and saying mean things, I was wondering if you had any advice on how you have dealt with this.
Yeah, that's a great question. Also a sensitive one. I think that our world is relatively new to social media, and it has extreme benefits in the way that we can create our own voice and have a platform to share it and affect change in super positive ways. I think that some people abuse that access and use it more in a manipulative or aggressive way. And I think that my goal in my platform and just my approach to life is that you have to generate as much kindness and positivity as you can and put that out there. And I think that also recognizing your platform is for you to stand up to what you don't believe in, and also stand up for what you want other people to understand about what your views are. And cyberbullying can be a really dangerous thing, as can just general bullying. And what I've learned is that you have to surround yourself by positive people who really love you in the way that you really appreciate them as well. And stay in your own lane. Like, I think that there's a saying that's always windiest at the top of the tree. And if you're doing something well, then there's going to be people who are insecure by that for whatever reason. And you just have to know enough to respect yourself and also the people who give you this positive feedback, enough to know when to say enough is enough, and also when to just ignore it and continue on and live your best life.
I totally agree with everything you said, because I have dealt with people writing a mean review of my podcast. So my parents taught me early on that there will always be haters, always people who are insecure. So I just chose to focus on all the young big dreamers that I'm inspiring, and I won't let the haters who have nothing better to do destroy my big dreams.
I totally agree. I love it.
So this is more of a comment than a question. I saw in one of your videos that in your garage at home, you have a tread wall, which is like a treadmill but a wall. So how does that exactly work?
So the treadwall is a great training tool for to have at home or at the gym, and I can adjust the angle at which the wall is steep or not steep, so more vertical versus more inclined. So you're climbing on overhanging terrain, and I can also adjust the speed. So there's a scale from 1 to 10, and I just pull a lever to make it faster or slower. And then there's a tracking device that shows you how many feet you've covered over how much time. And also, your like energy output. And I can work on my pacing through this tool. And also, I could climb 3,000 feet in my garage, which is pretty cool.
Wow, I agree. That's the coolest thing ever. So I have a couple last questions for you. If you go back in time and talk to your 10-year-old self, what would be your best advice?
I think if I went back and talked to my 10-year-old self, I would say continue doing what you love to do and don't worry about the people that give you negative feedback, because there's always people that support you and love you, and look at them for advice, not the people who are just trying to bring you down.
That's so inspirational. You're so right. So big dreamers out there, make sure that don't focus on the haters, because they're going to hate, but your family and your friends and the people who love you will always support you. So I know you have already made many of your dreams a reality, but if you look at yourself today, what is your big dream for the future?
I think for the immediate future, I am really excited about doing bigger exploration trips, traveling to more countries, spreading what I really love about climbing to new areas and using climbing really as that vessel to learn about the world and about the cultures that exist within it. I would love to, down the line, work within the sports space and women as well. I think that women in adventure and action sports are relatively unrepresented, and I would love to change that and also work with other female athletes to build their own brands.
That's such a cool dream that you have, to just go out there, travel more, work with new brands, and inspire like a woman and everyone out there. So for our very last question, Sasha, where can our audience find out more about you?
I would say that the easiest way to find out and follow wherever I am is on social media. So my handle is just at my name, Sasha DiGiulian, and I post quite frequently there. So that's the easiest way to follow along, as well as I have an adventure series called 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I post that link on my social profile as well as on YouTube, and it's a way for me to share my training, my travel, and my climbing with my audience.
So everyone out there, you heard Sasha. All you got to do, go on YouTube, Instagram, and just find out more about Sasha. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Ava. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
That was so much fun. I still can't get over the footage of Sasha training on the wall with a cast on. To me, that really showed how she was not going to let anything get in the way of her training and mission to become the best climber she can be. Thank you, Sasha, for your time and for all the great tips and lessons you taught our big dreamers. As always, all the links to everything we discussed are on our show notes at dreambitpodcast.com/136. Did you enjoy this special episode? If so, please tell your friends and family about the Dream Bit podcast. If everyone listening can just tell one person about this episode, that would lead to a chain reaction that would get the Dream Bit podcast in front of so many new people, which would be amazing. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified whenever we release a new episode. Finally, if you're interested in being part of the Dream Big Academy, please go to dreambitpodcast.com/beta, and right now we are giving away the Confidence Secrets course for free. Have your parents go to dreambitpodcast.com/beta to get the free course that includes over 1 hour of me teaching you how to become more confident, which is the key to achieving your big dreams. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Eva Cartman reminding you that you have unlimited potential. Your dreams are not optional, you need to make them essential. So take massive action to turn those big dreams into reality. Live with passion, the way life was meant to be. I'll see you next episode. Bye!